So, pull day today. So upper back focus pull day, we're going to box off lats with the first two exercises. So what we're starting with is a single arm cuff pullover, just 2 sets, both sets just shy of failure. The reason behind doing this exercise first is purely that we're just acting to prime the lats, get blood in there, develop a good mind-muscle connection prior to moving on to a dual arm pull down. So after a couple of sets of the sub-maximal cuff pullover, we're moving on to a dual cable pull down, chest supported, great stability, more force output. We're using the prime attachment so that we can align the cables and the handles perfectly with our lats. Bigger individual, we'll use the wider attachments. Thinner, smaller individual, we'll come in with the closer attachment. The reason why we're doing it dual-handed today is because it is an upper back focus push day, so not as much direct work is focused towards the lats. We've done some single arm work with the pullover, so for more time efficiency we're going to do a double arm. The lats are nice and fired, they're primed, we've developed a strong mind-muscle connection on that first exercise, so realistically there should be no issue with connection with the lats when performing this pull down. So with a pull down like this, I like to take a slightly supinated grip as well. And what we want to remember when trying to bias our lats, when we're doing any kind of pull down, any kind of single arm lat row, is we don't want any movement at the scapula whatsoever. That scapula remains locked in, your shoulder remains locked in. It's purely thinking elbow to hip. And something else to note as well is to keep your forearm completely in line with the line of pull. So the cable on the forearm should be able to draw a straight line going all the way up. So slightly supinated grip. Bracing hard against the pad, crunching down on your abs. Elbow to hip. It's also worth noting that there are different ranges of lat that we're wanting to target. So anything with a pull down motion, we're going to kind of be targeting, more biasing the iliac fibers of the lat. If we're looking to do a single arm row or a lower row, at that point we're going to be biasing towards the thoracic fibers of the lat. So we want to be challenging the lat through its full contractile range. We also want to be challenging all regions of the lat as well. So going into our working sets now, 3 sets. We've got one at about 7 to 11, so a slightly lower rep range with heavier load, and then we work off with 2 back offs at like 11 to 15 reps. So as you see on that final set, that is our last set of the workout that is dedicated towards our lats. So I finish off with some partials in that length and range. Now, where our lats fail is directly in correlation towards the strength profile of the lat. So typically with the lat, we're going to go from a strong to a weak position. So in that final set, I like to extend the set and actually just tax the lat with any gas that it has left in its strongest position, because we've failed in the short-term range, but we actually haven't failed in the length into mid-range. So just finish off some partials, an easy way to extend the set, accrue a little bit more volume and actually get the lat to fail through its full contractile range. So exercise 3, we're now moving on to the upper back portion of the workout. We've got a prime row, 2 sets, top set back off, 7 to 11, 11 to 15. Got the seat relatively low so that the line of pull is all focused on this upper back, slightly neutral to pronated grip. And we're just completely loading the middle peg, so it's heavy in the mid-range purely because I think the machine is so heavy in the length and range as it is that it doesn't warrant putting any extra load there. With this now, we've got lats out of the way and we're thinking purely upper back. What we're only thinking about is just scapular protraction and scapular retraction, just constantly moving the scapula forward and back and engaging and biasing that full upper back. So something that I think is really important, fuck me, I'm out of breath. I think it's really important with something like this kind of row. Once you have got execution locked in, you're confident with the movement, don't chase a crazy internal feel. You're not going to have a ridiculous internal feel like you would a really small isolation, so like a lateral raise or a bicep curl, something like that. You know, you've got so many moving parts in the back moving here. We want to put the back under a great deal of load exposure. So perfect that movement pattern, get execution bang on. Make sure that you are biasing where you want to bias, so the upper back, that mid back. Then load it up and expose your back to some serious load. Don't just chase internal feel, because in a movement like this, particularly in something like an RDL, you aren't going to get a great internal feel. And you could be wasting gains, you could be wasting progression, wasting mechanical tension by just chasing that internal feel on something like a chest supported row or an RDL or something like that. So exercise 4, we're moving on to this prime extreme row. If you can't guess already, I love prime kit. 2 sets, getting the top and the back off. We're going to be loading it pretty evenly split between the lengthened and the mid-range, because it's where we've got the most gas left. You know, the short range of the upper back's pretty much done, same with the lat. Ooh. Like the prime row, simply what we want to be thinking is just going through as much scapular protraction and retraction as much as possible. We have the seat elevated quite high, or the chest support quite high, so that the line of pull is almost in the arcing motion, directly coming up towards the traps, the rhomboids. And I'll be honest, I don't really do any, I haven't for a very long time done any kind of trap shrug or direct trap work. For me, all trap involvement is from rowing and from upper back pull downs. I don't really see, unless you've got super lagging traps, that much point in directing a lot of volume towards isolating the trap in some form of shrug. I think you can develop very, very meaty traps from hinging and from upper back rowing. So what I want to touch upon as well is, I've just been telling my training partner then that, particularly with a machine like this where stability is so important, we want as many contact points as possible, and your feet are really, really important. We want a strong stance, we want strong, firm contact points with the ground. Again, that's just going to increase the amount of stability we've got. We've got a chest supported, we're chest supported, so we've got so much stability from here. If we can lock our legs in, lock our feet in, strong contact with the floor, we've got more contact points, going to be able to generate a lot more stability. Rather than just letting your legs dangle about, you're just going to become unbalanced, you're not going to be able to generate as much force. So always with chest presses, with rows, with anything where your feet are going to be in contact with the floor, or try and make some kind of contact, make sure it's strong, firm contact, generate as much stability and as much force output as possible. So, final movement for back before we move on to biceps is going to be an upper back pull down. So probably for most, the traditional lat pull down, how it's butchered across gyms, we're going to be doing this to bias the upper back, in particular the traps, the rear delt. So we're taking a neutrally pronated grip, whatever kind of feels comfortable for you. Leaning slightly back, and we're just driving through, again, scapular traction and protraction. Nice. So, like the last two rows, we are using prime kit, so if you have access to prime kit, rinse it. We are loading it like 75% in the length and range and 25% in the mid-range. So we've kind of gone from mid-lengthen to now like heavily dominating that length and range, because it's where we're strongest and it's where we've got the most gas at this point in the session. Two sets here for the rear delt pull down, upper back pull down at like 8 to 12 rep range. Coming into our second set now, and like we did with the lats, you know, it's heavily loading that length and range. We're going to take some partials. So when the set's done, as in when I've done in that shorter range and I've failed within the short range, but I've still got a bit of gas left in the mid length and range, I am going to take some partials because it is the final set for back of the session. So it makes sense to, again, fatigue the back, do its full contractile range. So we've got two exercises left to pull, both bicep exercises. The first one, we're going to bias the short range of the bicep. Second one, we're going to bias the length and range. So first up, what we've got is a high cable curl, single arm. This is going to put us in a shoulder flex position. It's going to allow us to overload the short range of the bicep. It's also good to spend and challenge the bicep in this shoulder flex position, because it's going to help improve stability around the shoulder and shoulder health. So, 3 sets done in shoulder flexion. We're now going in shoulder extension to finish the bicep off in the length and range. Something that you'll also note with both exercises with the majority of my arm work is doing it single arm. Purely from an alignment perspective, you can align the joints a lot better, you can align the muscles a lot better, and obviously then you're going to create more force output and training the muscle in a much more efficient manner. So guys, that was my pull day wrapped up. 2 lat movements, 2 mid upper back movements, 1 rear delt pull down, trap pull down, and then we had 2 bicep movements. So that's full pull wrapped up. We're going to be bringing a lot more to the channel. I know it's been gone for quite some time. I've had a hiatus away from bodybuilding, which I will cover in a future video, but more content is going to be coming. Follow me on socials at Tim Stewart, online coaching, clicking the link down below. Thanks for watching.